What's up? Welcome back to the Built by Bailey's channel. If this is your first time, welcome. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. 2026 is going to be all about getting back into consistent videos. I haven't been making those consistently for a while. I apologize. So if you're new to the channel, for sure you want to subscribe, because this channel is dedicated to everything in home building and real estate, and there's lots of info, lots of stuff to learn. And again, I'm making more consistent videos. 2026 is going to allow me the ability to be more consistent in that arena. And also wanted to give a couple updates. It's going to be a newsletter going out with lots of information. So if you're interested in getting some information on home building or real estate, just drop info in the comments below and I will get you on the subscribe list for the newsletter. I don't sell anybody's information, so don't worry about anything like that. It will certainly just be for if you're interested in being part of the newsletter. Probably going to start quarterly and then maybe once a month. We'll see how things go in 2026. Also, the builtbybaileys.com website is getting a rebrand and a refresh. That should be in the next couple of weeks going live. I'll update everyone on that as it happens. There's currently the website that's up is got plenty of information on it. So you can go there, builtbybaileys.com, and check all of that out. 2026, you're here for one reason. How much does it cost to build a home? Well, that's a great question. Builders hate this question because it involves so many variables into the cost that it's even giving a ballpark realm of cost per square foot to build a house can get a little dangerous, just because there's so many factors that can bring up costs and drop costs dramatically depending on what do you want to build, where are you building it. I'm a builder all across the state of Colorado. I've done builds all across the state of Colorado, and I can tell you in this state particularly, the cost to build is literally all over the map. All right, we're going to break down all of the costs involved in this, and we're going to get to some numbers that'll kind of get you into some levels of cost to build. And hopefully that'll help in your decision-making process. And if you are truly interested and want to get some more information, your questions in the comments below. You can also follow me on Instagram and DM me there. All right, let's start with pre-construction costs. Those are costs that are going to be applied towards the build, but have nothing to do with actually moving dirt, framing walls, or anything like that. It's everything that I have to have, you have to have, before we can actually drop the excavators in and start getting to work. Those are pre-construction costs that I'm going to go over right now. Architectural, engineering, and design costs right off the bat. Okay, these costs can be associated with your cost to build. Sometimes they're actually removed from the actual square foot cost to build. So you want to make sure you're asking your builder or general contractor if those costs are included in your construction costs, your build costs, or not. Architectural and engineering costs are a big one. If you're out there looking around, looking for someone to design your home, an architect is the first place most people go. Well, I don't know, where else would you go if you're going to have someone design your home? There are options. Architectural fees can be anywhere from 4 to 10% of your budget to build costs. So if you think about that, it's almost like, and I am one of these, a real estate agent, it's almost like a real estate agent taking a percentage of whatever the cost to sell or buy that home is. Sounds like that might be an issue, and I'll tell you why. Is there's an incentive. If you want to make more money as an architect, you want to make sure that the cost to build goes up a smidge. Not saying that it's unethical, I'm just saying there's an incentive there that you want to build and design this gorgeous home. You want to showcase your skills as an architect, but the more that you add in on certain features of the home or complex, engineering that it may be required to build this house, that cost to build goes up. Now, with that fee at 4 to 10%, the architect makes more money, but it's not cost benefit to you as the homeowner. Engineering wise, they're going to be more of a fixed fee. So again, we use all that in-house, so it's all part of our design and architectural fees. You get a full design proposal that includes the engineering costs as well. You have to have a structural engineer design the home. The architect cannot do everything. Even if they are an architect and they're licensed in the state of Colorado and they stamp those plans, they are required to have structural plans done by a licensed PE, so a professional engineer that is in charge of all the structural. That's foundation, that's framing, all the loads have to be calculated, everything. Without getting too complicated, you have to have a structural engineer as part of your design for the home. Add in another $3,000 to $6,000 on top of your architect to get those full design fees. Now, that being said, our design fees are generally less than even 4%. We're generally in the range of, if you want to have some sort of curbs again, we're in the range of like anywhere from 1.5% to 3%. 3% can start getting a little bit high. It really depends on what we're doing for you. And again, that design is not just design fee. It is full construction documents, including the engineer, to get you to the permitting process. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go into some of the fixed costs that are not part of the construction budget. Number one, survey. You have to have a land survey plat done of the lot that you're going to build on. That will dictate all of your property boundary lines. It's going to create the meets and bounds and the legal description. Even if it's an established lot, you have to have that. Now, generally, a land survey plat is going to cost you anywhere from $1,200 to $2,500. Really depends on how big the lot is, how much detail the building department is requiring. Again, talking with your general contractor or builder or even architect, they can kind of guide you in the right direction of what type you're going to need or how much information is going to be on there. Generally, I like to start with the building department because every building department in the state of Colorado is a little bit different as to what they require for that survey. All right, number two, tap fees, utility fees. Some of this stuff you have to have in place before you can actually even go to the building department. In some cases, that's not necessary. In some cases, it is. But this is, again, not part of the construction budget. This is a fee that has to get paid before we can come in with our excavators and start digging. Water tap fees. If you're going to be on a municipal water service, so city water, you're going to need a tap. Those taps are all over the place in the state of Colorado. They can be $2,000. They can be $49,000. It just depends on what city and county you're going to be building in. And again, these fees can be found on the municipality's website. Usually it's in the building department section. Simply just call that department and ask them where you can find it, and they can even email you a fee schedule that will dictate what those fees are going to be. Part of that is tap fee is going to be utilities, so electrical or gas. Make sure, again, you find out which utility services are in your area. State of Colorado has a few options: Black Hills, Core, Excel. You want to know which one is available for your lot in the area you're going to be building, because again, those costs are pretty much all over the map as far as how much it's going to cost to get electrical and gas in your area to service to your lot. If you're going to be on well and septic, you're not a municipal water and sewer, you're going to be on well and septic. Those fees are going to be a lot different than a municipality's fees are going to be. And again, sometimes these can be a lot less expensive than being on city water and sewer. So a septic system needs to be designed. The soils engineer has to come in and do a soils test, not only for structure, for your foundation, to determine what type of foundation you can build on, but also to know if you're going to be on septic, what type of system you need to design based on the soils that you're building upon. Again, a soils engineer will be capable of doing all of that stuff for you and putting an entire report together, dictating soils, the report, what they came back with, and then structure, foundation-wise, what you can build on, what their suggestions are, so the structural engineer knows what to design, and for your septic system, based on how big your home is, type of system you can actually implement based on the type of soils on your property. All right, let's dive into the rest of the cost to build and everything that's underneath that bubble itself. So everything else is ready to go. Your construction documents are done, so all of your architectural engineering is ready to go. On some of this, you're going to be working with your general contractor on some level as you get closer to the wrapping up your construction documents with your designer or architect and engineer, and then you're going to look at the site itself and other factors that will be involved there. So If there's any site clearing that needs to be done, number one. So tree mitigation. Do you need to remove any trees? Do we need to clear areas for a driveway? That needs to be looked at. So once you get to that setup, you're going to have all that designed on your lot as part of your site plan, and that's going to dictate where the building envelope is going to go, and then it's going to dictate your next cost, where the driveway is going to go and how long or how big it's going to be. Some of that driveway is going to be dictated by the municipality, the building department. Some of that work has to be done in conjunction with the fire department, depending on where you're building. If you're building in the mountains versus in the city, there's regulations for some of those driveways. If you have a bigger lot, how far back does it go on the lot? Does it require switchbacks? If those switchbacks are going to be part of the driveway, they have to be at a certain width. The fire department will dictate to you what that width is. Call your local fire department if that's one of your stipulations for your driveway. All right, next cost would be excavation costs and foundation work. So again, this is all going to be part of your construction document package, and that's going to determine that cost based on multiple factors. The more simple the foundation, generally the less complicated and less expensive it is. The more twists and turns your foundation has, the more stories your home is going to have, the more levels it's going to have, the more complicated the foundation work will be, the more expensive it will be. So keep that in mind as well. A rectangle is generally less expensive than a foundation that goes in 14 different directions for a very large luxury home. All right, after that, it's going to come down to how complicated the rest of your structure is, and then types of materials that are going into the home. Again, you can be in charge of picking out materials, working in conjunction with your general contractor during the build process, but keep in mind that this has to be streamlined to keep your costs down. If you start delaying the project because you can't make decisions, those costs on the estimated cost to build on your home are going to start moving in the wrong direction for you because they're going to get more expensive. Most of those things need to be or should be determined and decided upon before you actually start excavation. But if there's changes to be made, it's okay. Just keep in mind some of those changes may actually incur higher building costs. All right, permit fees and application fees. Again, based on the municipality and the building department you're working with, these can be kind of all over the map. Most permit fees are based on a percentage of the estimated cost to build the home. So if your home costs $400,000, that building department will say the permit fees will be 3% of that cost, that construction cost. And then anything above the buffer of a $400,000 to $600,000, for example, budget would be at $1,000 for every $100,000 after that. Again, all of these fees can be found on the building department website. Some of those websites are hard to navigate, so just feel free to call the building department and ask them where their fee schedules are for permits, and they will send them to you. A lot of times, and we always have this at the beginning of every meeting, I will walk in based on where we're building with our client and show them the permit fees so it's very transparent and you as the client understand how much those permit fees are going to be, and it's usually based on the estimated cost to construct the home. Application fees, there's sometimes a lot of different applications that have to be submitted, not just a one application. Say, I want to build a home, here's my application with all my permits and construction documents. There's affordable housing fees. There can be environmental fees. There's a lot of different things we as builders have to submit for these days. It's become much more complicated than it needs to be. Enough, I digress on that. Keep that in mind. Again, we provide those fees transparently with the client based on where we're building. I always research the most updated costs per the building department and bring those to our construction meetings so we're all on the same page as far as what those costs. Here's the big one that a lot of people miss: borrowing costs. How expensive is your money? As most people have to use a construction loan to construct a home or build a home. They got to borrow money. So there's a construction loan process that's there. And with any sort of loan, obviously there's going to be interest on that loan. Check your rates. I have lots of options on lenders for construction loans. So if you want any of that information, just drop that in the comments below. I'll get back to you on that. But construction loans can go all over the map as far as what percentage you're paying on that money. How expensive is that money going to be? That is part of your build cost. And that is also based on the duration of the loan. Most loans are 12 to 18 months. It's pretty uncommon for a construction loan to go further than that. You do get extensions if needed, but after so many extensions, you're going to get stuck with paying fees, doing a rollover, doing a refi, which is very uncommon, by the way. So staying on task and on schedule is very important for builders like me, because we don't want to cost the client any more money. And if it comes down to us causing some of that delay, then we have to incur those costs or eat those costs, and no one wants to do that. As most of us know right now, and it's not going to change in 2026, money is getting more expensive, meaning it's going to be really expensive to borrow, more than it has been. I don't see it astronomically shooting up again in 2026. So where we're at right now is probably going to be with a relation of where we're going to be in most of 2026. Again, I'll make more videos to update you on that, but keep that in mind. This is what we call the elephant in the room. What is that true cost to build? I've watched this whole video, Shane, and you haven't told me how much it's going to cost to build my home. I know you've told me there's a lot of variables that go into this, blah, blah, blah. All here's blah, blah, blah. I just want to know, just give me a ballpark, please. I know when we, as builders, try not to even give ballparks, but here we go. All right, so the different levels, as we talked about, cost to construct. There's level number one, as I would consider level number one, is a very simple one-story rectangular or square-shaped home. We're going to stay right in that moderate material cost where I can source materials, and I don't ever use the word cheap because we do not use cheap materials, but more inexpensive materials based on what we're putting into the home. That's level one. We're looking at $350 to $385 a square foot, approximately, for a level one home. Fairly simple one-story home. Or if you don't know, or you do know already, we do specialize in shipping container construction. That cost is a whole nother cost. If you haven't seen any of those videos, go check those out, because that is an alternative method to constructing a home that we're researching and have been doing for years now. And I do believe if you're looking for a simpler, smaller home, that is certainly the answer. ADUs as well. That is another way to shave literally a third of the construction cost, is going with a shipping container type structure. Not interesting to you? I want something more than a square box, one-story home. Great, level two, that's for you. Two-story home, we have a couple different corners within our foundation, maybe a little more structural has to go into it, maybe based on where we're building. Sometimes we're building in very rocky terrain. Sometimes we're building in extremely expansive soils, which are pretty prominent across the state of Colorado, depending where we're building. We could get into some additional foundation work. That's going to push up the cost. We're looking at a two-story home. We're also looking at materials that may be more than just what I consider builder grade. Again, not cheap, just more expensive. We're looking in level two. Level two, cost to construct that home, you're looking between $450 a square foot and $550 a square foot. Again, I know that's a big number depending on what size your home is. 2,000 versus a 4,000 square foot home, in that still level two range could be a big discrepancy in numbers. I get it, but that's where we're at, where I see our numbers going in 2026. Okay, you want luxury, I get it. You want to build we have a lot. This is our dream home. We have the money to do this. Then level three is going to be for you. Level three is a multi-story home. We're talking walkout basements potentially. We're talking about more landscape on the exterior, indoor, outdoor type concepts. We want a nano wall with no column in the corner and a lot of cantilevering. We have an idea of what we want to do architecturally. We're going to need more 3D renderings. We want to showcase this house somewhere. This is a luxury home. We're going to be looking at $600 a square foot to possibly $700 a square foot, depending on what we're doing with the home. Now, I'm not saying we can't spend even more than that. And if budget is no concern to you, please call me tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. But that doesn't really pertain to you as far as trying to keep it within inside the box. I mean, I can tell you 99% of people, even if they have as much money as they need or want, are going to stick to some sort of budget. I need some sort of budget. But on the level 3 luxury type home, we're looking 600 to 700 square foot. I have done some that are more expensive. I've done remodel work that's more expensive than that even. But we're trying to not just throw money out the window, okay? We're not just driving down the street, chucking a stack of cash out the window. I want to stay within a budget, but that is a level 3 type home. Hopefully, all that information will work for everyone that's watching this video. I do appreciate you if you've stuck around to the end of the video. Again, if you want to be part of the newsletter to get more information, just type info in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Again, 2026 is going to be the year again of more videos and more information for everyone watching. If you like this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up on the way out. It does help us out as well. And stay tuned because 2026 is going to be a big year on so many levels. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.